But let me ask you this though. There's something that is notable in the many dimensions of Marcus Garvey, and that is he was a systems analyst.
Mhm.
He understood the system because a lot of us, I hear the conversations because the system has been so oppressive. Any discussion about the system, we are dismissive of it right away. Why did Marcus Garvey focus so much in trying to create a system for Black people by becoming a system analyst?
Well, I mean, again, that's because of his genius and his analytical mind. You know, he studied everything. I mean, if you, I talked a little bit about him improving himself in the early years, but if you look at what he did, he traveled outside Jamaica to Costa Rica and Panama and Honduras. He worked on the Panama Canal. He worked on the railroads and the plantations in Costa Rica, etc. So he got an understanding and a knowledge of how people lived in those areas, how African people were living in terms of Jamaicans who were there, you know, in the plantation, people from Trinidad, from Barbados, from Haiti, and so on and so forth. Then he came back to Jamaica. Then he went to England, but he didn't just land in England. He traveled the continent. He went to Ireland. He went to Scotland. He interacted with African students. He interacted with African sailors. He interacted with Dus Muhammad Ali, where he worked as a journalist on his magazine. He was there for a couple of years. He studied. He took courses at Berkeley. He went to the British Parliament, and he would sit in the upper row there and watch the parliamentarians. He would go to Hyde Park and he would debate. So here was, you know, as someone who was
That's the same. That's the same Hyde Park that has a statue of Nelson Mandela now. But go ahead.
Yeah, but what he was doing was educating himself and understanding how systems worked in the colonies and how systems work in the center of the empire in Britain and in Europe. So he was able to study those systems. You see, because he knew, and he said that, well, everything works by system. You cannot approach anything if you do not understand it, and if you do not understand it as a system. Everything works by system. And that's why he said, we have to create our own systems, because the systems that we're involved with were designed by other people for their own benefit. They were not designed for us and our benefit. So for us to simply join their systems is like we're committing suicide, or at least we're going to stay in the same place or move backwards. We're not going to move forward because their system was not designed for us. Their system was designed by them for them. We have to have a system that we design for ourselves. And I mean, that's as simple as it gets. That's as plain as it knows on your face. Everybody has to create their own system. That's why we have this, the creative process. You know, and that quote that we talked about, you know, God and nature first made us who we are, and then out of our own creative genius, you know, we make ourselves what we want to be. So we have to use our creative genius to create our systems that are going to benefit us and our posterity.